All right, spring game. Recap. You want to start with offense? That's kind of how we do it during the season,
Yeah.
right? We talk offense, then defense. So offensively, got a glimpse of Jeff Lebby's tempo, right? And I think everyone can understand that they are going to play at an extremely fast tempo. And they kept things pretty simple in the passing game, pretty simple with the run concepts that they showed on Saturday. But I feel like we all got a good sense of how Jeff Lebby wants to create space in the passing game, those super wide splits from the outside wide receivers, being well past the numbers, creating those throwing lanes for Dillon Gabriel, a lot of RPO stuff, and just trying to get guys the ball in space and let them make plays. And I thought Dillon Gabriel looked pretty good, all things considered, right? 35-mile-an-hour wind just kind of blowing, gusting throughout the entire scrimmage. But I thought early when he was kind of having to go with both teams, I was like, this dude's going to get tired. Just like, because he was just going
He
play
went like
after
6 drives in a row, didn't he?
Yeah. So I was like, but what that first big throw to Weiss, right? I think that was a good illustration of the mobility you and I have been talking about. Like, he moves well, right? Jordan Kelley comes clean in a gap slide max protection that should just never happen, Ted. I'm not going to lose it. I'm not, but it should not happen. Left tackle, keep your eyes in your gap. It doesn't happen. He doesn't have to make this play, but you saw that ability to flush to the left, throw a really accurate ball down the field to Weiss for a big play to set up that first touchdown for Jovantae Barnes. I know that he probably wishes he had the back shoulder interception back. Right now, that was a hell of a play by Kendall Dennis.
It was,
by the way, that was a nice play, but had the touchdown to Mims on kind of a busted coverage, no one in the middle of the field at all, checking him in a simple 4 vertical concept. But I thought, all things considered, with the crowd, the energy, dude looked as calm and relaxed as you possibly can in that moment, and didn't look nervous. 19 of 24, 250 yards, touchdown and a pick. Looked pretty damn good, man.
He did. Oh, I really liked how he orchestrated the offense. He did a really good job getting to the line, moving them fast, always pressing to get up on the ball and get ready. Just had total command of the offense is what you're looking for. And, the tempo stuff is, got to remember, OU the defense has been practicing against the offense all spring. Now, it's not a whole lot of time, but that was the 15th practice, and they've done a lot of moving the ball and scrimmage type scenarios. They've had some work defensively against that tempo. You got to imagine a defense that hasn't worked against that tempo, because currently no one else in the Big 12 does that, right? At least not at that pace.
Remember, Oklahoma State did it for forever, and they've gone away from it.
Yep. So you gotta imagine that teams are going to be, it's going to be like drinking from a water hose in a football game, because a scout team cannot replicate that. They just can't. You can try all you want, but you're never going to be able to go that fast with a scout team. So you're going to be going into a game having never really defended it, and it's going to take a while to really, it's going to take a half to kind of settle into the tempo that you're getting. It's relentless. It never stops. So you got to keep that in mind a little bit whenever you're watching the spring game, because the defense, they know that tempo. They played against it all spring. So while even they were struggling with it, imagine when they face a defense that hasn't prepared for it. So I think that's something that's critical to keep in mind. But, and I asked you about this, is I think that, and especially in the fall, I think that tempo, as long as the offensive line is in shape, and I imagine they're going to be in even better shape come the fall, I imagine going to make it way easier to play offensive line.
Yeah. when you're in much better shape than the defensive lineman you're going against because you've had an entire summer workout, the entire June and July, all tailor made because knowing you're going to play with that tempo and incorporating that and that philosophy into the workouts. So you have that build up in the summer, then you have all of training camp to practice that tempo. Yeah, you get to, week 3 in Lincoln, those guys from Nebraska are going to be like, what the hell? Right. And the thing that, and you saw it in the spring game, and we talked about it on the broadcast, Ted, like when you go that fast, the defensive line cannot sub. And if they try to sub, you're going to catch them either with 12 men on the field, or they're not going to have enough guys. They're not going to be lined up. Like you're going to have a big advantage of as an offense if they do try to sub in some of those situations. But defensive tackles are used to playing 2, 3, maybe 4 snaps in a row. All of a sudden, they're out there and you're on play 7 of the drive and you've been running tempo the entire time. They become useless, essentially. They're just bodies on the field at that point.
Yeah, and the play calling goes for that. Like early in a drive, like they may run it on first down, and on second down, like if they get a decent gain on first down, on second down, you better believe they're throwing a bubble away from the other team's sideline and making the D line and everyone pursue across the field. And they're going to be right back on the ball because you can't sub. They're making you run away from your sideline. And it's just, they're going to get you gassed. There's a conscious effort in the play calling to exhaust you early in the drive. And it works. It does.
Yeah. And the tricky thing that Jerry Schmidt and his strength staff have to figure out is like, how do we get these guys in incredible shape while still making significant strength gains and speed gains and flexibility gains? Like that's why you're paying that man what you're paying him, right? Because it's not easy, right? When you're running that much and you're trying to build up the ability to play offensively with that tempo, it's hard to do that and to really pack on muscle on guys. But it sounds like they feel very confident that that's exactly what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Because they saw some really good results in winter workouts. So
going to be a long summer of building some cardio capacity.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Running backs. Thought Eric Gray, we knew he wasn't going to do much. Had that nice 50-yard run, right? I think that's where you see a little more explosiveness from him this year, a little more strength and explosiveness in that lower body this year. He loves the new offense. I talked to him about it on the sideline, just how it puts him in positions to use his vision and use his quickness and finds him a little more space. And that's just not on the edges. That's with some of the stuff that Levy has put in with that zone scheme like that can be within the tackles or on the backside. You saw several of those runs in the game kind of fit off the backside of these zone concepts. So I thought Eric Gray looked good. Jovantae Barnes, whew. I know that he didn't have any like big, long, explosive runs, but you hand him that thing, he looks explosive. The acceleration, had the 2 touchdowns where I thought he showed nice leg drive and power punching those in. So I think he looked good just like I expected him to out there.
I think there's a pretty good chance that in 2 years, he may be the best back in the Big 12. You know, we're talking about a kid that's supposed to be a high school senior right now. And he totally looks like he belongs out there on the field with these guys. Big, tall. Think he's got to work on running lower, which is standard for a young guy, and especially a running back that's that big that can get away with a lot of things at the high school level. But he's got a great jump start, and I would imagine that a summer with Schmitty, a good, tough, physical fall camp, like I imagine that's going to be. Halfway through the season, Jovantae Barnes is going to be a dude.
Yeah. Now, no Marcus Major in the game, right? Because now I did talk to him and he said he's healthy, said he's good to go, that it was just precautionary because he had missed so much of spring ball. It's like, and you talk about being calloused all the time, right? Like you take those hits and you like prepare your body in spring, and for him to miss all of that didn't make any sense for them to throw him out there in the spring game setting. So he's healthy. He'll be good for summer workouts, and it's going to be an important summer for him. I still think that he's going to be RB2 starting out because he's such a powerful and strong runner. But that's if Tawee Walker doesn't, push Marcus Major for kind of that role as the power back right now. We knew he was a physical guy. I really thought he showed good hands out of the backfield, had a couple nice catches, yards after the catch as well, finished those runs. Physically, I don't know if there's going to be a big competition between him and Major, but Tawee Walker looks like a guy that is going to continue to put up a fight. I know that fumbled going into the end zone, not ideal, but he kind of followed that up with a nice patient run where it bounced it outside. No contained player for the defense. I'm sure that made Venables really happy and, scored a touchdown. So I thought that, and that was right before the half. I thought that all things considered, he's the guy. I guarantee you he's the guy that all OU fans are talking about on Monday going, dude, hey, right? Walker, right? When he realistically may be RB4 for this football team, but it's a good, he could help, man. I don't know how much, but seems like a guy that's physical and runs tough. I liked what I saw.
Had a nice showing. But yeah, that one run where he, was patient, started in the interior and cut it all the way back to the outside, and that's kind of what that zone game does is the edge guys get impatient, think that you've tucked it up on the inside. They start peeking in to go help, and you bounce it out around the edge and you're off to the races. Thought that was a really good run and blocked up nicely. Good job by him. It did remind me of something, though, whenever you talked about catching the ball out of the backfield. How weird was it to see a check down?
So many balls in the flat.
Yeah. We haven't seen a check down thrown to a back over the middle in I don't know how long. I don't know if Lincoln ever had anyone throw a check down ever in his offense.
I am all for, right? When you look at the running backs that I think are going to, be significant contributors for this team. You look at Eric Gray, you look at Jovantae Barnes, you look at Marcus Major. We'll see if Tawee Walker ends up earning some playing time, and we'll see what Sawchuk brings to the table when he gets on campus. But those three guys that I think are the top three, get them the ball in space and make people tackle them. It's a pretty good strategy. It's not, get them the ball, get them some touches, and make people tackle. Let's see what happens.
Generally, they're going to be way better in space than anyone else out there on the field. More difficult to tackle. There's going to be some receivers that can catch it in stride and do some stuff, but if you can clear out some space and dump it to a running back, they're going to do some good stuff.
Normally. All right, pass catchers offensively. Thought Marvin Mims looked like the best player on the field. He looks fast right now. He's healthy. He feels good. He was smiling a whole lot on the sideline. He just looked like he was having some fun, and maybe it's because he was making plays. I think that showed a little more physicality with the ball in his hands, a nice stiff arm at one point, kind of finishing some runs, wasn't stepping out of bounds or anything like that. So now did he really do that much on the touchdown he scored? No one was covering him, but that's not his fault. He was wide open. To me, he looks like a guy that is going to have a big year. I know he's not the biggest guy in the world. I know that we've been very high on Jalil Farooq, and he had a few nice plays in the game, but I was impressed with the speed that Mims played with.
Yeah, he looked good. He looked like a guy that's poised to have maybe his best year, and that's saying something. He's been really consistent, and I imagine he's going to get the ball a lot. I think that we saw them test deep early and hit a couple of other deep balls, but Lebby in a real game in the fall, you're going to see them throw deep a bunch. And with all the different guys that they've got, it's going to be fun to see what they can do. And I think Mims is going to become a really, really good deep threat.
Yeah. And then Jaden Gibson is really tall and has really long strides. I mean, that touchdown.
He's going to be dangerous.
That was a good ball from Bowens, but man, when he catches it in stride and he has a step, he was running away from people on that play. And despite him it seemed like he needed oxygen at the very end of the game because he had to play so many plays with how fast they were going tempo late. But you see him and you just think about what he's going to be in the future, right? I'm not so worried about this year, right? Although I think, hey, he can help him. I do. But you think about what he's gonna be when he weighs 215 pounds instead of 195 or whatever he is right now. That dude's gonna be a monster. He's gonna be an absolute monster.
He's got the frame to put on some serious weight, and I agree. I think the sky's the limit for him. And you said it best a couple of weeks back when we were talking about these guys. It's a basketball team, and it really is. I absolutely love the variety of this wide receiver core. Love it.
Yeah, different body types, different skill sets. That's usually how you want it to be with the wide receivers. And then as far as tight ends, just not a ton of action for them, right? A lot of stuff in the run game where whether they're running split zone, whether they're running zone, where the backside guard and tackle were locking on man-to-man and the tight end was inserting on the backside backer. Some of the stuff working to the backside backer, having the tight end come around for the front side backer. Saw some counter. You'll see counter. It's not going to be GT counter from Lebby. Now, maybe they end up running some of that in the season, but you saw just kind of traditional pull the guard and then have the tight end kind of in that nasty position, backside, right off the hip of the tackle, wrap around for the second guy in that scheme. And I thought that overall, the thing that impressed me the most about the tight end group, I thought they blocked well. Willis looked good blocking. He didn't play a ton, right? He's an important player for this team. But one guy that really, really kind of flashed for me as a blocker was the Llewellyn kid. I thought he did some nice stuff in the run game.
A big dude.
He's a big dude. It's a big freshman.
Yeah, I thought the tight ends did good for the most part. I thought a couple of Max Pros didn't go well for the tight ends, and I don't know if that was just some miscommunication stuff or what, but didn't get it locked down. But I love the sign of I personally think going Max Pro is awesome. If you've got a couple of wide receivers that you really love that can do some great things downfield, if you can go Max Pro and give that quarterback an extra count or two and let those guys go like post corner and stuff like that and make some moves downfield and try some deep balls, that could be a really dangerous weapon. So I'd like to see that in the offense. But I don't know. I'm interested to see if in the fall if we see those guys more active in some of the passing game stuff.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. And then offensive line wise, it's kind of just hard to tell with all the starters not playing together. Uh, but as I went back and watched the TV broadcast, and Toby and Dusty did a really good job on the call of that. I liked what I saw from the guys that I think are going to be key contributors. I thought that Wanye Morris was very composed, played well in the run game, well in pass protection. Anton Harrison, I think he's a guy that's continuing to get better. Chris Murray did some really good things there at right guard. I think that McCade, and I guess you say it, Metaier, I guess is the way you say it,
Okay.
which I feel like that's the fifth different way I've said that. But, him and Marcus Alexander, that's going to be, I think that'll be a kind of a 3-man race for those two guard positions between Metaier. God, that's annoying. Metaier. Okay, I got it. Metaier, Alexander, and Murray, I think are, as it stands right now, are the three guys kind of for those two guard positions. And then Conjal, he battled. He still has a club on his hand, and Andrew Rame didn't play. So not exactly a spring game where you're going to really be able to evaluate what this offensive line is going to look like week one, because the guys didn't play on the same line. And, the guy that projects as the starting center didn't even play. So I wish I had some more hard-hitting analysis for you, but I will say they converted some fourth downs, converted on the goal line. I mean,
That's what I was about to say. Some of
handled the tempo well.
Down on the goal line, I thought was good. Just with a little bit different style of running game, seeing them stay on some of those doubles and get really good movement at the point of attack. Especially on some of those drives where they've got the D line winded and they're coming off and they're low and they're driving on some of those double teams and getting big time movement up front. Looks really good.
Yep. Okay, defensively, what'd you think?
I thought all in all, that was pretty good. Maybe better than I expected. I thought the pass rush looked pretty good. I thought the tackling looked pretty good. I thought coverage downfield for the most part looked pretty good. I know we did give up the long one to Gibson, where he was. We had a guy beat. The touchdown to Mims looked like a mistake in coverage, and there was some mistakes out there. But all in all, I just came away, and maybe it's just because of the good vibes of the overall weekend, but I came away feeling pretty solid about the defense, especially knowing that they split a lot of those guys up. It's kind of the same as when you're trying to evaluate an offensive line that's been pieced together. It's the same with the secondary and linebackers that are usually used to communicating with one another in coverage and stuff and adjustments. So all of that considered, I would say overall looked pretty good. I thought Stripling had a really nice day. He was all over the place. He was beating guys in one-on-one. He was splitting double teams. He was showing up in the run game. He looked really good out there. I thought Ethan Downs, he looked great. He was late when everyone else was starting to get tired. He wasn't. He was beating, was it Savion Byrd like a drum over and over, unfortunately. But he looked good. I thought the backers as a group played pretty good. There was some mistakes out there, no doubt, but there's some good downhill play by the backers. Deshaun White made a nice play coming downhill. Stutsman was all over the place. I would say all in all, just generally speaking, I was happy with how the defense played.
Yeah, I thought the only thing, if you don't get stops early in drives, right, and that tempo gets going,
yep,
life gets miserable. If you're playing defense against Jeff Lebby's system. But thought Jordan Kelley did some, and shouldn't be surprised, right? They've said he's been their most consistent guy all all spring along that defensive line. So he had a couple of nice rushes, right? And now maybe some breakdowns and protection that led to those nice rushes. But he won some one-on-one battles, and you got to get a rush from the interior of the defensive line, and maybe Jordan Kelley ends up being that guy. You mentioned Ethan Downs. So I thought the hustle play of him rallying to the ball and forcing Stoops to fumble, that was basically like giving Brent Venables drugs.
Yeah.
It's just like, yes, because, that's the type of, he calls it what? Uncommon effort, right?
Yep.
That's exactly what he wants to see. And yeah, Marcus Stripling had the best day of anyone on defense.
By far. He was all over the place. He was in the backfield nonstop.
And that's good to see, man. They need him to come along.
Yeah.
Because his body type and like his skill set on the edge, like you look at Downs and Laulu and a couple of these other guys on the edge, like if Stripling can play with that twitch and like suddenness, like that could be huge for this team.
I agree 100%. Yeah. I thought Grimes, between Stripling, Grimes, and Downs, I thought the edges looked pretty good. I thought Laulu looked kind of slow and heavy-footed out there at times, and I don't know if that is like a thinking and processing situation, and he's just trying to get acclimated to the system. That can happen, but I think we got some good signs of really good play on the edges, which is really important.
Yeah, I thought Stutsman had a couple nice run throughs too.
Yeah.
In the run game.
I thought he played well. I did. I thought he played well. I saw a couple of times he got the come here from Venables and had to run over there, and you see him, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, and then trying to get back over there and make a call, get the defense set up. But he's active. That's the thing you love about him, is he can run. He's active, plays hard. The rest is going to come.
Yeah. And then Billy Bowman, it's going to be fun to watch his growth at safety, right? There's a couple moments where you're like, okay, you can see the inexperience. And then there's a couple moments where you see the explosiveness and the speed and the power. And you're like, oh, this could end up being really good.
You know what? I'm really interested to see Bowman, Key Lawrence, and if Justin Harrington can get it together and play that nickel spot, and we'll also do some 3 safety stuff at times, like that's a really athletic group. And I know Bowman's a little on the small size, but the other 2 are not. So there's some really good things. Jordan Mukes made some plays back there too, and he's got some good size at safety. And
he
I don't know if
gave
anyone
up some plays.
Yeah. And I don't know if anyone's seen the video of our boy from Tulsa Union that's not here yet running the 100 meters. Woo! I cannot wait for that dude to get on campus. He's going to look good. So, no, I think we've got some good things going in the secondary. And I thought corner was strong. I thought the corner play was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, other than you think about the big plays in the game, clearly, hey, Gibson just won, right? And then
Gibson won, and Theo Weiss, whenever you got the quarterback scrambling out, was a really nicely thrown ball. That's a tough one to win on. Can't let the quarterback get out of the pocket like that. But there's some good stuff in the secondary from the corners.